All right, so for those of you guys that don't know, I'm a football coach, so I'm going to move around a bunch. I'm going to go kind of fast. I'll throw some stuff out at you, so be ready to keep up. My son over here, you know, the words that we speak, they matter a lot. I really believe that. That's one of the things that Pastor Ivy's taught me a ton in the last few years is the words that we speak matter. And he actually taught me a really valuable lesson. Now, he's almost a mute. He doesn't talk that much. He's like the quiet giant, right? But it was his 8th grade year, and he had just finished playing his last 8th grade football game. They had lost in the playoffs to the crosstown rivals, and he was in the tank. He was ticked off, which, you know, I get it. He was mad, and I'm trying to be daddy, you know. I'm trying to encourage him. I'm like, he was wrecked. And I'm like, dude, like, you got to keep this in its place. Like, don't make this bigger than what it is. Like, that game doesn't matter. Who you are matters. Like, you did everything that you could do. Now you have to manage this the right way. And, like, I'm trying to coach him up. And he looked over at me, and he goes, how could you say that? How could you say this doesn't matter? All the time that we put into this, all the work I put into this, everything that we've done, all the hard work, and you're going to say it doesn't matter? And Daddy was like, okay. You're right. It was one of the more powerful lessons that I've learned. I was like, you're right, man. I'll never say that again. It matters. And it matters a lot. But who you are matters more, right? And ever since then, I've been starting to look at things differently when it comes to like what matters and what matters most. So what I want to talk to you guys about today is what matters most, okay? Excuse me. All right, so start you off with a riddle. There's 5 birds on a branch. 4 decide to fly off. How many are left on the branch? Right? There's 5. Because just because I made the decision to fly off didn't mean that they took action. Okay? And I want to really hit home on that. You guys have just finished a series on deciding versus decide and the importance of making those decisions. And I want to take you guys to that next step of, now that you've decided, now let's roll. What does that look like? Okay? James 1:22 is one of my favorite verses, but don't just listen to God's word. You must do what it says. Otherwise, you're only fooling yourself. Okay? So look, words matter. And Acts 24:14, Paul's on trial. He got in some trouble. The guys that are accusing him of things, they're calling him the leader of a cult called the Nazarenes. Okay? And Paul says this. I think this is really important. Paul says, but I admit that I follow the way, which they call a cult. I worship the God of our ancestors, and I firmly believe the Jewish law and everything written in the prophets. And this is what I found interesting. He didn't agree and be like, yeah, I'm a Nazarene. Or he didn't say, no, I'm a Christian. Like at the very beginning, while all this was happening, in the very beginning, this is what he said. He said, I am a follower of the way. And I thought that was incredibly powerful. Not a geographical location, not a denomination, like not a list of ideals or thoughts. Like the one he says that I follow the way, everything about that speaks to action and standards. And I thought that was really powerful. So look, football coach, let's keep it simple. The way is his way, and his way is written here in the Bible, okay? So the first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is this. Write this down. The decision matters, but living our decision matters most. Okay, the decision matters, but living our decision matters most. Now, I don't want to overlook the decision because the decision matters. And the most important decision of our lives that we're going to make is our way or his way, right? It's pretty simple. Our way or his way. Isaiah 55, 8-9. For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. My ways are higher than your ways. My way, the way, his way. Sounds easy, right? Pretty simple to choose his way over our way. Almost this easy. Check out this short clip right here. Easy, right? Pick Barkley. Easy, right? His way or my way. It's easy. Like it's an easy decision, clearly, right? We didn't plan this, but I love the first song that we sang this morning, which says, I'm going to believe what it says in your word, right? Like, okay, well, let's believe that. And what does it look like to believe that? Well, to believe that, it means that we're going to follow that. But sometimes we don't choose his way. And I think sometimes it's because we can get in some of these seasons where we just feel like we don't see the evidence that his way is better than our way. We just don't see it sometimes. We have a hard time with that. And sometimes we even doubt, okay? I don't know if any of you guys have ever struggled with doubt, but I have struggled with doubt. Most people, if they will admit it, have had seasons of doubt, okay? And for a long time, I struggled, like I felt guilty. First of all, I was doubting, and then I felt bad because I was doubting, right? And it just spirals out of control, right? So I'm like, man, I feel bad because I even question anything. And I read this. Everybody talks about the Great Commission, but I've never heard anybody talk about this before. It's Matthew 28, 16 and 17. It says, then the 11 disciples left for Galilee, going to the mountain where Jesus had told them to go. When they saw him, they worshiped him, but some of them doubted. All right, look, these guys were with him for a long time, saw a lot of pretty incredible things. He tells them, hey guys, I'm about to be murdered, and then I'm going to come back to life, and then I'm going to meet you on this mountain. And they're on the mountain, like he called his shot, and still some of them doubted, right? So I'm like, man, if some of them can doubt, I guess I shouldn't be so hard on myself if I doubt sometimes. But this is what I want you to know, that two things. One, it's okay to be in a place of doubt. It's okay. It's just not okay to stay there. Okay? It's okay to be there. Just don't stay there. When I was a new believer, I had a mentor of mine, Julian Kaufman. He's my Italian brother. He's probably in Italy right now. Sorry, dog. But I'd met him for lunch, and I was just having some conversation about reading through the Bible, and I was like, man, like this thing's kind of big. Like I didn't even read a book until I was 25. Like some of these words are tough, and like it's kind of hard to understand. And this is what he told me, and I'll never forget it. And it's been so powerful for me. He says, listen, man, it's a lot. But when you get to a place where you don't fully understand it, just keep reading. I said, okay. And that's what I did. I'd get to a spot. I didn't quite understand it. I would just keep reading. And then when I read it back through the next time, I learned a little bit more, and I was able to understand more and kind of work my way there, right? So just keep reading. I thought there's a beautiful thing right here when it talked about the disciples while they were doubting. This is what it said. It said, when they saw him, they worshiped, but some doubted. It didn't say when they saw him, some worshiped, and the ones that didn't worship were the ones that were doubting. It said they worshiped. They all worshiped while they were still doubting, right? When you don't understand things, when things are tough, and I just don't get, like, just keep worshiping the Lord. When you get that tough spot in your faith, just keep worshiping the Lord. When you start to doubt, just keep worshiping, and you'll come out the other side. So sometimes it can be a little bit more strong of a doubt, right? So like old Thomas in the Bible, John 20:25. One of the 12 disciples, Thomas, was not with the others when Jesus came. They told him, we have seen the Lord, but he replied, I won't believe it unless I see the nail wounds in his hands and I put my fingers into them and place my hand into the wound in his side. Hey, man, like, it's a little harsh, right? Like, I enjoy watching that series, The Chosen, because they also like have some human like aspects to it. But I wonder if some of the other disciples were like, dang, dog, like, really? Like, I mean, that's kind of rough. But this is what happened. 8 days later, Jesus shows back up and he gives them the opportunity. He's like, okay, here I am. Like, all right, Thomas, like, come on. Like, right here. And he gave him the opportunity, right? Just like he gives us opportunities. Sometimes we just want to see some things, okay? And here's the thing, though. There's proof all around us, but we just rarely see it because we're just not paying attention. So, like, for example, this morning before worship, I came in here and I taped 5 $100 bills to the bottom of 5 different seats in here. Go ahead. See if it's yours. Gotcha. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Y'all were looking. Y'all were looking. See, the faithful ones were looking. They believe, right? They believe. They were ready to find some money, right? The doubters, like the doubting Thomases, were like, I ain't believing that. That ain't true. Look at them. Look at them, right? But listen, this is the truth. Some of y'all looked. If one person would have pulled out a $100 bill, everybody in this room would have looked under their seat. True or false? Facts. Like that's major facts right there because they'd have seen something. Okay, we want to see some evidence sometimes. Okay? Oh, man, that's good. Jesus did say this, though. He did say that you believe because you have seen me. Blessed are those who believe and do not see me, right? But here's what we got to do. We got to train our eyes. One of my favorite verses in the entire Bible is 1 Corinthians 16:13. Be alert, stand firm in the faith, act like a man, and be strong, right? The first part of that says be alert. Some translations might say pay attention. But the first thing that it says, especially for the men in the room, like the first thing you got to do, guys, is pay attention and be alert, right? Before you can act like a man, which is one of the only verses in the Bible that tells you to do that explicitly, you have to pay attention, okay? And especially pay attention to the people around you. Because if you do that, you will see evidence of the power of his way all over the place. But sometimes we don't because our eyes are focused on us instead of looking out and seeing what God's providing for us. So here's what I want to do. I want to tell you guys about a couple of people that I believe follow the way that gives us evidence if we'll just pay attention, okay? The first person his name is Jason Carter. And this is a picture of his daughter. That's Katie Beth. She was a student of mine in 2016, graduated in 16, and she was a part of our football program. She had been on mission with me in different places around the world. And on her way back to Jacksonville State University on September 5th of 2016, she was killed in a car accident. And shortly thereafterwards, probably, I think it was 2 or 3 days later, we had a candlelight vigil at the high school. That's this picture here. That was a candlelight vigil. There was hundreds of people that showed up, incredibly powerful. And Katie's family was off on the side because obviously it's really difficult. But right at the end, they showed back up to the top to address the crowd. And there was a worship song that was sang right there at the end. And I can't even imagine, I couldn't even imagine being able to stand up in that situation. I couldn't imagine being able to breathe in that situation, honestly. And this is a picture, and I want just to remind you, hey, when you don't understand, just keep worshiping, okay? This is a picture of Jason with his family. Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand. Jason chose and lived the way in the hardest moment of his entire life. And it was evidence for us to see, oh, that's the way. Let's go. There's some evidence for me, for the Thomases in the room who I can be. There's some evidence. But it's all around us. It's not just that guy in Ringgold, right? There's people all over the place in this room if we'll just pay attention. Okay? The second person I'm going to call Nicaraguan Braves fan because I don't know his name. I was on a visit to Nicaragua, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. I was with somebody who I cared deeply about. There was 4 of us. There was myself, this person, a photographer, and a translator. And we were following a family and documenting a family who works in the dump. People go to the dump and they will recycle the garbage and make a very, very minimal income. It's a really difficult job. It's a rough job. It's a hard job. So I wasn't feeling real good. And at the dump there's a couple different roads. And like one road is where all the garbage is being dumped. The other road is where they dump the garbage, everybody's picking through that. That's where everybody is. On this other road, it's where they burn the garbage after everybody picks through it, and then they'll go back through it again to see if there's any metal or anything that's worth anything. So this is a picture of that road. That's the road right there. And the photographer wanted to go down that road to take some pictures because with the smoke, I mean, there's some pretty cool opportunities. Well, the person that I was with, who I care deeply about, who's a good man, who I love dearly, I would best describe him as maybe like an anti-Christian agnostic. Okay, definitely not a believer. Almost to the point of like he's pretty belligerent about Jesus at times, like calling him the Easter Bunny and stuff like that. Right? Says some pretty rough things. But he's searching, and for a while I'd struggled because I was like, man, what am I not doing to help him be able to see who Jesus is? And I really struggled with that for a while. And so they go down this road. I stay at the truck. The 3 of them go down this road. This man, a translator, and the photographer. And they go down. I can't see him anymore. And this picture happens. This next picture happens. That's the Nicaraguan Braves fan. There's nobody there, guys. This dude walks over a smoldering pile of garbage, walks straight up to the person I was telling you about, and started to talk to him about Jesus. Like, not only did he provide that, but he also provided a translator to tell that person what it was that he was saying, right? And this is the scripture that comes to mind. For I am convinced that neither death nor life, nor angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future, nor any powers, neither height or depth or anything else in all creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. It doesn't matter the words that you speak against him. It doesn't matter if there's an ocean between you and home. It doesn't matter if you're in a burning pile of garbage 3,000 miles away from home and you don't speak the language. Like, he's still going to come find you. He's still going to pursue you. He still loves you. The Nicaraguan Braves fan, he's a follower of the way. And I appreciate him. All right, the last person that I'm going to point out that I believe is a follower of the way is this beautiful one right here. It's my wife, Arlene. And I don't just have like a single story about like a cool like picture of burning garbage and a guy walking over it when I want to tell you about who she is. But she's the most beautiful woman in the world. And she's also pretty. But what she's done is she's given 30 years of consistent, selfless love to me and my kids. And to sum up like who she is, I would have to read this out of Proverbs. A wife of noble character, who can find? This guy, I found her. She is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all the days of her life. She is clothed with strength and dignity. She can laugh at the days to come. She speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household and does not eat the bread of idleness. Her children arise and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praises her. Many women do noble things, but you surpass them all, Arlene. See, Arlene's a follower of the way. And there's evidence of this everywhere. If we'll just be alert, if we'll just pay attention, if we'll just get our eyes off of ourselves long enough to see what God's doing around us. So look, speaking of wives, all right, real quick, pro tip, okay? I'm going to give you the secret. Married couples, I'm going to give you the secret right now to have the best marriage ever, to grow old together, to end the way it's supposed to end, all right? It's real easy. It's real simple, okay? This is it. Are you ready? Write this down. Your smile matters, but your spouse's smile matters most. Your smile matters, but her smile matters most. His smile matters most. And if we'll listen, if every married couple would just do that, I really believe there'd be no more divorce. It'd just be over. We've been together for 28 years, I think, since we started dating. And in 28 years, we've never spoken an ugly word over each other. She's never called me a name. I've never called her a name. And if her smile leaves her face, my world stops. It stops. It's the most important thing on this side of heaven to me is a smile on that woman's face. And I may not always be able to help all of her problems when it leaves her face, but I can always help her heart, right? And that's number one for me. Now, her smile rarely leaves her face because she's rarely focused on herself. She's incredible. But look, if you guys want to have a great marriage, go get you one of those. Just kidding, kind of. But if you're dating, this is what happens. I hear people talk all the time of man, relationships are hard, marriages are hard, you got to put in the work. So to you guys that are dating, I'd tell you this, if it's hard, find someone else. Just find someone else. Like our relationship isn't hard. Are there things that we have to work through, compromises, growing together? Sure. Is that work? No. But if it's not a life-giving relationship, unmarried people, get rid of them. Find somebody else, because the worst thing you could do is marry that person. There's billions of people in the world. Go find somebody that it's not going to be hard and laborsome. I'm doing a project in my backyard right now that's hard and laborsome. That's not my marriage, right? Now, if you're married and it's hard and laborsome, call Pastor Benet. I'm not qualified for that, but kind of past that point. But you get the idea. But no, seriously. Back on track. So listen, I do want to talk to you a little bit about the problem that we have with our way, the problem with our way. Okay, and here's a little video that kind of demonstrates it for us. Don't worry, no animals were harmed during the filming of that. They let the monkey go, it's okay. But practically, that is one of the best illustrations I've ever seen, right? So hey, what's the problem with our way? The problem with our way is the melon seed that's in that hole right there. is that when we grab a hold of it and we won't let go of it, it keeps us a prisoner. It keeps us hostage, and it keeps us from the life that God was created for us to live. Like, we can't get to the life that he wants us, the life of abundance, the life that's amazing, because we're stuck holding on to our way. And the only thing we got to do to get to the life that he wants us to have is just to let go of it. Just let go of it. And the thing that we have to let go of is control. Like, that's what we want. We want control. Like, I'm a dude. I want control of everything, right? And it's hard for us to let go of that, because here's the deal. Like, hey, we're all down with God's plan until his plan doesn't match our plan. And then we got some issues, right? Now I'm going to hold on to that a little bit tighter, because we don't always want his plan, because we don't know any better. We don't want his plan for our future, for our marriages, for our finances. Like, I want what I want, and I want it now. Like, I know what I want, and I want it now. I'm going to hold on to that thing. But do you really? Do you really want it? So are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts. So let's just try to keep it simple. I dare you just to let go of control of some things. And it's scary, but when we let go of the outcomes of things, just let your focus be to just do the next right thing that Daddy's asking you to do. Just do the next right thing that Daddy wants you to do. That Daddy in heaven, it simplifies everything. It'll release you into the life that he wants you to have. Just let go. Simple, not easy. All right, fourth quarter, we're almost there. Let's talk about this. Parable of the two sons, Matthew 21, 28 through 32. So what do you think? There was a man who had two sons. He went to the first and said, "Son, go and work today in the vineyard." "I will not," he answered. But later he changed his mind and he went. Then the father went to the other son and said the same thing. He answered, "I will, sir." But he did not go. Which one of the two did the father's will? The first, they answered. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the second one first. The one that said that, hey, I'll go. I'll go do the work, but he doesn't go and do the work, right? And this is what I love, and this is in multiple areas of the Bible, and this is what I think it's telling us is this. Hey, talk's cheap. Talk is cheap. Oh, I've made the decision. Oh, you've made the decision? You've told people you've made the decision? That's great. But talk's cheap. You got to go live it. I grew up in a house grew up my first part of my life in a Catholic home, went to some Catholic schools, but we never went to Mass. And then when I was I guess I was in high school, my mother decided single family home, or single mother home, she decided she was going to be Jewish. Don't know why, but she went down that road, and it's like, okay, she went through this conversion thing, and she's got in our, I'll never forget this visual of, in our kitchen, you'd open the cabinets, and she had labeled based on Levitical law, like, hey, these dishes are for kosher food, and this is for non-kosher food, so you knew what dishes to eat, what kind of food on. Meanwhile, never went to synagogue, was addicted to pills, smoked 2 packs of cigarettes a day, and would go to the Waffle House and eat a plate of bacon, right? I'm just like, what are we doing? So there was just never anything real to it, okay? So write this down. What you say matters, but what you do matters most. What you say matters, but what you do matters most. Last story for you. We're going to talk about the first son. And this is my dad's Bible. His name was Ed. We had the same name. I go by EK. He went by Ed. And if my dad was alive today, he would be 103. Yeah. Fought in World War II, born in 1920. And when I was 1, we lived in Chicago at the time. And when I was 1, Mom came home from work, and he was gone. Like, disappeared. No note, no nothing. Left his wife with a 1-year-old son and was just gone. And like, for me personally, like, I think outside of murder and physical or sexual abuse, like that, to me, it probably might be the next worst thing that a human can do, is to abandon their child. I mean, it's one of the worst things I could think of. And then something happened about 5 years later. 5 years later, he calls my mother out of the blue. He's got another wife, incidentally, but he calls her out of the blue, and he wants to see me. He was living in Chattanooga at the time, which is where I now live, just outside of Chattanooga. I was probably 6 or 7, and I went to go visit him, and I kept going to visit him. We eventually moved to Chattanooga. And this is what I want to tell you about Ed, is that for over 60 years of his life, he followed Ed's way. He did life Ed's way. But something happened. And the memories that I have of my dad, because he died when I was 11, was him reading this Bible. He was the first person that showed me how to get on my knees and pray. And the lasting visuals that I have of him is him sitting and studying Scripture, which he has underlined all throughout the Bible. And he was never said a harsh word to me, always loved me when we were together. And I tell you the story because this is what I want you to know. Maybe you're doing things your way, because we all do things our way from time to time. But I just want to give you this encouragement from my dad's story, is it doesn't matter how long you've been doing things your way or just the depths of the sin that you're in right now. All you have to do is follow his way, and you can completely change your legacy that you leave on this planet. So he went from the worst legacy you could leave as a father to one that showed me, hey, son, this is what repentance looks like. This is who the Lord is. This is what it looks like to pray to him. This is what it looks like to get to know him. Like, he gave that to me as a young boy. After he had done the worst of the worst, he gave that to me as a young boy. He recreated his entire legacy because he made a decision and he took action. And you can too. So, write this last one down. How you start matters, but how you finish matters most. How you start matters. How you finish matters most. So just to recap, guys, the decision matters, but living your decision matters most. Your smile matters, but your spouse's smile matters most. What you say matters, what you do matters most, and how you start matters, but how you finish matters most. And if you want what matters most, just live his way. If you want what matters most, just live his way. Don't talk about it, be about it. Go live it. Be a man and a woman of action and see if things don't change.